So, ladies and gentlemen, in today's Sports File podcast on the Habs, we're going to be looking at another one of those stay-at-home defensemen that were in heavy abundance for the Montreal Canadiens in the 1970s. Now, he's more well-known as a hockey commentator in 2020, but for those who saw Brian Engblom play, you remember him as one of the most talented players to come out of the U.S. NCAA program in the mid-1970s. Now born January 27, 1955, in beautiful downtown Winnipeg. Engblom was your typical Montreal Canadiens defensive defenseman of the 1970s. At 6'2", 200, he could throw his weight around. Now, Engblom became on the Montreal's radar when he was playing for University of Wisconsin at Madison. He was eventually drafted 22nd overall by the Habs in the 75 NHL entry draft, and 22nd overall by the Winnipeg Jets in the WHA draft. Now, his first two professional seasons was with Montreal's talented AHL affiliate, the Nova Scotia Voyageurs, and he eventually got his first playing time due to an injury called up in the 1977 season, and eventually he got his name on the cup because he won the cup that year. Now, with his time with the Wisconsin Badgers, he was putting up some very impressive point totals. Not say overly offensive defenseman, but his time with the Badgers, his last season, he had 36 points, including 13 goals. His 2 years with the Voyageurs were almost a half a point a game pace. His best season was his second year with 8 goals and 42 assists, good for 50 points. Now, his years with Montreal were led to 3 total cups. And what's ironic about Engblom, he rarely got a point in the playoffs in the three stints in the NHL playoffs. He only had 1 assist in 23 games, so you can always say this is a defensive defenseman. He lost most of his 78 season injury. He only played 28 games, but in 79 he had a more regular time on the ice with 62 games with 3 goals, 11 assists, and 14 points. Now, the 82 when Engblom was establishing himself as a top NHL defenseman, Montreal decided to make a big change because they're really gearing on to get veteran presence on the team. He was involved in a still controversial blockbuster trade that saw him and a long-time defensive forward stalwart Doug Jarvis, Langley, and Craig Laughlin dealt to the Washington Capitals in exchange for Rick Green and Ryan Walter. But Engblom's time in Washington, I think with Langley, Engblom was just a filler for the Capitals. A season later, he was dealt with Ken Houston, the Kings, for all people, Larry Murphy, which is kind of one of the worst trades in the history. In the history of the league, because Murphy obviously went on to great success. Now, he finished career with stints for the Sabres and the Flames, and Engblom's final NHL season of 1987 ended prematurely due to bone spurs in his spinal column that required major surgery to repair. And in 11 seasons, he had a grand total of 29 goals, 177 assists. Now, the studio analyst style he has, he's sort of like a poor man's Dick Urban. He provides a color commentary for ESPN and NHL on the ABC from 93 to 2004. Then he worked for NBC for a number of years. And he's also the color analyst for the Columbus Blue Jacket games on Fox Sports Ohio. Now, he is currently the color analyst for the Tampa Bay Lightning for Sun Sports. And again, he still does the NBC hockey games. Now, he's also done work post-game analysis for the Colorado Avalanche. So, like I said, very knowledgeable guy, but his line of success is quite interesting because he's also a member of Manitoba Hall of Fame. He was NHL second team All-Star in 1982. He was the NHL's plus-minus leader at plus 63 in 1981. He won the Eddie Shore Award as the AHL's most outstanding defenseman 1977. He was also AHL first All-Star team, and he was also the Manitoba Junior Hockey League's most valuable player in 1973 when he had 63 points. Now, he also had great success playing for Team Canada. In 81, he played for the second place Canada Cup team, where he had 1 goal in 5 games. And at the World Championships in 83, playing for a very strong squad, he had a goal and 2 assists in 10 games. Now, Brian Engblom is the only thing I can compare him with. I mentioned in a previous podcast about Billy Nyrop, but Jacques Laperriere, a very well respected player in the media when he played, and when Montreal needed to supplement Lapointe, Savard, and Robinson, because in the late 70s, especially Lapointe and Savard, they were getting slightly fragile. Engblom could play the power play, he could play on the short end, a very, very cerebral player, just like Billy Nyrop and Laperriere. And it just kind of, he was lost in the shuffle. Like, I'm not saying he was thrown in the language trade as an extra, but I think they were just basically, Montreal was trying to rebuild, because if we do remember, 81 losing to Edmonton and 82 to the Nordiques in the playoffs. Montreal management was, not say blaming him, but they had to make a move. That just had to do. So on this beautiful COVID Sunday, we wish everybody good health. And if you like these podcasts, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. If you have positive comments, we'll appreciate it. But if you don't like it, don't bother, and don't tell anybody you ever came on the channel. I need positive energy, because this is what the channel is all about. 91,000 people who have watched it can't be wrong. Have a good day. Bye.